In case you guys have forgotten, एक मुद्दा थोड़े दिन पहले इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग का भी चालू हुआ था. But in the shadow of a much larger protest, this one somewhere ended up taking a backseat. आज की वीडियो इसी मुद्दे पे है. And as difficult as it is to refrain from political mockery, this is not going to be a political video. This video is about understanding and knowing what ethanol blending really is. From Henry Ford's vision to motorsport incorporation to spoiling your very engine. मैं हूं संग्राम and this is the legend of E20. A quick primer, because setting up the basics is important before we get into the story. Ethanol is basically alcohol. The same molecules chemically as found in a bottle of whiskey, just processed industrially and denatured so that you don't end up drinking directly from your fuel tank. It is a renewable biofuel produced by fermenting sugars and starches from crops like sugarcane, rice or maize. It can readily mix with petrol because the two are chemically compatible. And let's not forget कि सबसे पहले your car has to be compatible. It all started with Henry Ford in the early 1900s. The man who made the Ford Model T, the first mass-produced car, actually designed it to run on ethanol. He called it the fuel of the future. He believed that alcohol distilled from crops would eventually run American cars, not petrol. But petrol won that battle majorly because it was cheap, abundant, and Rockefeller had better lobbying than farmers did. But ethanol never completely left the conversation. In fact, in the 1927 Indy 500, the Brickyard Classic, a car driven by Leon Duray ran on ethyl grain alcohol. 100 years ago, ethanol was already proving that it could compete. But then it left the mainstream conversation for decades. Cheap oil made it irrelevant. Until 1973. The 1973 oil crisis resulted in global gasoline shortage and people straight away realized that over-dependence on oil was a serious issue. And the first responder was Brazil's ethanol-based sugarcane program. Brazil's sugarcane-based ethanol program that began in the 1970s ended up making it the second largest producer of ethanol and its biggest exporter. And by 2003, Brazil had cars that could run on any ethanol to petrol blend whatsoever. That's called flex fuel technology. So Brazil brought it about, incorporated it, but there was a clear set structure. With India, the story is a little different. India's ethanol journey began in 2001, formalized as the Ethanol Blended Petrol Program in 2003. It was launched across 9 states and 4 UTs with a 5% blending target, and it was later spread to 20 states by 2006. But following the 2006 expansion, the progress remained painfully slow. Why? Sugarcane supply issues, pricing discrepancies, and the infrastructure just wasn't there. For over a decade, E5 was just a rounding error. It was never a national reality. 2014 is when progress actually started to take shape. The supply of ethanol under the program rose from 38 crore litres in 2013 to 14 to around 200 crore litres by 2019. By May 2022, India hit an average 10% blending nationwide, which was already months ahead of its initial target of November 2022. Major manufacturers like Toyota, Suzuki and Hyundai started taking notes because everyone understood that E10 was only a checkpoint. The aim of the government was much further. India's original target for 20% blending was 2030. India achieved it in 2025, 5 years ahead of schedule. For context, E10 was only achieved as a national average by 2022. E20, which is double of that ratio, came just 3 years later. That is an aggressive pace by any global standard. And the government is not stopping there. The government is already working towards an even higher blend. No one is denying the benefits of alternative fuel. The big question mark is the execution. As India's fuel transition accelerated, consumers started filling social media with complaints, lower mileage, rough idling, clogged filters, etc., etc. Moreover, Indian insurers suggested component damage happening from non-compatible fuel will not be covered under insurance. It's a straightforward issue. India has crores of vehicles that are there on road which were never originally engineered keeping E20 in mind. The internet has two different sides. There are complaints and then there is data. So we'll try to look at both ends. The Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturer has stated that the drop in mileage from E20 petrol is between 2 to 4%. Unless everyone around me has been straight up lying to my face, this number is far lower than the actual drop. Government-backed studies by IOCL, ARAI and SIAM claim that there is no significant damage or impact on vehicle parts because of E20. They even go a step further, claiming that it actually results in better acceleration and better ride quality. Once again, ये सारी की सारी बातें लिखी भी बहुत अच्छी लगती है, but the ground reality, unless for some reason people are just lying to me, is very, very different. And on top of that, एक बार के लिए मान लेते हैं that these reports are right, that the ethanol is actually benefiting the cars in every single way. Why are people going and filling up their cars with premium fuel? It is a joke. See, the ethanol blended petrol has no incentive because first of all, it is pretty much at the same price at the normal petrol जो था उसी वाले पे. The drop in mileage is there, so straight away the consumer has to pay extra. On top of that, for people whose cars are not compatible, there is no choice. The government compared the blending program with Brazil, but they left out a very, very important aspect of it. Brazil's ethanol-based program was built on infrastructure that was built alongside its blending targets. On top of that, because of this, they were able to give the citizens engines that were developed from the ground up, and over that, they give the choice of fuel. Ethanol blending is not inherently bad. Remember the 1927 Indy 500? Methanol became the standard for Indy-style racing from 1965. In 2006, IndyCar transitioned from methanol to high-octane ethanol. NASCAR uses an E15 blend. F1 uses an E10 blend. So again, ethanol blending is not the issue. It is the way it has been rolled out. Under the 2021 Niti Aayog Yojana, the government did consult with manufacturers, giving them advance notice before the E20 rollout. But consulting with manufacturers is one thing, and on-ground readiness for crores of vehicles that are already running is a different thing altogether. And it really makes you wonder if the policymakers even know the ground reality. Or is it that the common sense is just missing? Or is it blatant disregard for the common citizen? See, either way, when you call something a national policy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like a nation is made up of its citizens. So when you make a policy that is not in the interest of its citizens, but is still called a national policy, isn't it contradictory? Once again, we have to be very clear that ethanol blending is not the issue here. It's the execution. And amidst the chaos, it is very clear that someone somewhere has messed up. But the one who will end up suffering, the one who will end up paying will be the common citizen. Have you been putting ethanol blended petrol in your car? How has your car been reacting? What are your views on this? Drop it in the comments. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. See you in the next one.